Now today is altogether different, you know, I mean, there's nothing like living like back then it was, but it was tough, but nobody complained much.
Did people have gardens?
Oh yeah, everybody had a garden. Well, you know, they had any excess land. Of course, city folks, you know, live in the city, they didn't have enough room, but most people did. But good Lord, vegetables and everything was so cheap. You know, back then you could buy a sack of sugar, a 5-pound sugar for 20 cents, you know. And a gallon of milk would cost maybe 15 cents. The prices were really different. You could buy a sack of self-rising flour, you know, for about 30 cents. Prices were just so low. I mean, that, if you had a job at Sewell's, I never will forget. My mother worked at Sewell's. She did some. They used to call it buttons. They have their own name. You know what they did down there. My mother did buttons. You know, buttonhole. You know, sort of lines on the. She made $9 a week, but we lived on it.
What did your dad do?
My daddy was I guess you'd say he was a farmer. We had 101 acres out on the Hamilton Estates. That's about a mile and a half out of Bremen, and my daddy farmed. And of course my brother and I, whose name was Lewis, we worked on that old farm, you know, during the summer raising thing. And of course my mother canned, you know, we canned a lot of beans, and gosh, we put up beans, and she put up corn and everything. And we live off it during the wintertime.
Mm-hmm. Did Tom Murphy's family have any farmland?
Not that I know of. No. Now, James Murphy, Tom's brother, in his years, he had a little garden behind his house up there. But that's not, Tom he was a city boy. Now, he prided himself in all during his career. When he was a lawyer, you know, he prided himself in being just a country lawyer. But that wasn't altogether true. That was just a front. He wasn't no country boy at all. But he liked everybody to think he was from the country, and he knew all about raising tobacco and this and raising. But that was just talk, you know, I mean. Because his daddy was making $80 a month at railroads, you know. They were living pretty handsomely over there.
Why do you think he wanted to project that he was a country lawyer?
I don't know, unless he modeled himself after some of those politicians in Congress, you know, like Sam Rayburn. Now, Sam Rayburn was from Texas. I never heard Tom say that, but I seen him he started wearing those old big old hats. You know, that's like old Sam Rayburn did. He was a speaker, you know, of the House of Representatives. And I think there's another two of them. There's that lawyer from a senator of North Carolina. I forgot his name. He's the one that presided over that scandal that Nixon had. I forgot what it was, Jake. But anyway, he wore it too, and he was an old country boy. And Tom I think took after him.
Do you remember the first time you saw Tom in a big hat, a Stetson hat?
No, I don't remember. It just seemed like it. The last few years that we knew, he always wore it, but he didn't wear it. He didn't wear it over while he was at the University of Georgia. It was only after I think he must have came in the House of Representatives. You know, he was elected first, and then he was the floor leader over there under Lester Maddox, and then he became Speaker later on. Mm-hmm. But now I think that's when he took up that image of being a country lawyer, because he prided himself in as you know, being an old country boy, you know, trying to work his way through Barber College or something, you know.
Through what kind of college?
Barber College. We always call it Barber College.
Now he was known for his hats, and he was also known for cigars.
I beg your pardon?
Also known for cigars.
Yeah, he prided himself in the fact that he gave up cigarettes. But he chewed on that old cigar all the time. Now he didn't give up tobacco, but he didn't smoke anymore.
So he never smoked them, he just chewed on them.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it. Because I know he had that old cigar in his mouth a lot. And I guess he had a nicotine habit, just as if he had smoked, I would think. Excuse me, I got a little hoarse.
So now when you were talking about the moon pie, eating the moon pie and the knee-high, was that in elementary school? Was that in primary school?
Yes, ma'am. That was, well, see, during the time that we were in school, the grammar school and the high school were situated on the same land. See, that's where Hamilton College was, which was a forerunner of Bremen Public School. But the high school and the grammar school were together, and there was a little store there where a lot of people, Mr. Hatchett frowned on smoking cigarettes very much. He was very much opposed to that. But back then, kids, they'd smoke, a lot of kids did. And they'd go down there at recess, at lunch and smoke down at Mr. Matthews' store. And Mr. Hatchett would occasionally go down there and run them all out. But Mr. Hatchett was a superintendent, but Tom often talked about Mrs. Helen Waddell. She was his first grade teacher, and there was some relationship somewhere, but I don't know what the relationship was. And Mrs. Waddell was his first grade teacher. I remember that. And my second grade teacher was a lady named Clark. And she was from I never will forget, I don't know why, but I remember that she was from Lumber City, Georgia, way down in South Georgia, south of Hazelhurst.
Who would you say was important to Tom Murphy in his early years? You mentioned his first grade teacher. Who were some other people?
Well, I guess George Turner was his scoutmaster. He was our scoutmaster. And he had a lot of influence. He was a fine person. And he had a lot of influence over, young boys coming along there. But that was the only, Boy Scouts back then, other than going to church or Sunday school, that was about the only activity there were. But I remember when one of the things that I recall most, Tom and I, we went to BYPU. That was down at the Baptist Church. They call it BTU, I think now, or something like that. But we went to the BYPU. And we went, and Mrs. Florine Otwell was our teacher, I guess you'd say. And one day, Tom and I got down there a little early before everybody else go. And you see, back then, they never locked the churches. You could walk into a church anytime you wanted to. But me and Tom got down there pretty early one Sunday afternoon. And somebody had left the collection plate there. And it stayed there, I guess, until they finished services at 12 o'clock, and it was still there. And so Tom really got excited about that. Boy, he just got carried away with that. And boy, he tore off somewhere, I forgot what it was, to tell them about that money down there, because he's afraid he's going to accuse us of stealing it.
That's amazing.
So, I thought that was funny. I mean, that money down there, because, if you saw a dime or 15 cents, there's a lot of money. So you could buy 5 silver bells for a penny, believe it or not.
Now, the Baptist church that you went to, was that the same primitive Baptist church that he went to?
Oh, no. His daddy was his daddy was associated with the Primitive Baptist. And he was a part-time preacher. I never heard him preach. And I don't know that he ever had a church. But Tom was raised, his daddy was raised as a Primitive Baptist. And Tom, he kind of, I think he went to the Baptist church some. And I don't know what church did he ever belong to. I really don't know. But I do know that after he got into representative and had his family, he went to the Methodist church quite a bit. And his son Mike, was a big part of the Methodist church. But as far as his daddy preaching, I never heard him preach, but I do know that he had leanings toward the Primitive Baptist Church because his mother was a Jones, and her first name was Leta, Leta, I believe it was. And they went to the Primitive Baptist, and I think they went to that old Concord Baptist Church on Highway 13 between Temple and Villarica, I believe. But I never did go to any of the Primitive Baptist churches, But at one time, everybody around this area was a Primitive Baptist, just about. Methodist and the Presbyterian. And I never will forget when my ancestors came down from Tennessee and settled down in Carroll County in 1825, right after they moved the creeks out of Georgia. There was no missionary Baptist, it was just Primitive Baptist. And my great-grandfather was a Presbyterian, and I do know that he joined the Primitive Baptist Church in Carroll County. And that's the church that Tom was associated with. But I don't know whether or not he was a member of the Primitive Baptist Church or not. But his daddy was a very devout Primitive Baptist. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Do you mentioned his mother. Do you remember Miss Jones?
Miss Leta, they call her Miss Leta. She was Mr. Murphy, Tom's father, had been married before. And Mr. Bill Murphy had two boys, one named Gene and one named Earl. And his wife died. So he married Miss Lena Jones, and that's Tom's mother. Tom had one brother, of course, James. As far as I know, that was the only family that they had.
Okay.
Miss Leta Jones, she was raised somewhere down in Cayuga County, one of those counties. Carroll County used to go all the way to Bibb County. Did you know that?
I did not know.
Yeah. And all those counties down through there, Heard County, Franklin, they was Carroll County at one time. Whenever they carved up Georgia.
During the Depression, of course, I imagine many people were listening to President Roosevelt.
Oh gosh, yeah, President. See, all the people in the South, they were under the influence of everybody was a Democrat in the South. I mean, and of course when we lost the Civil War, they called them black Republicans up there, because of everything that went on. But